Hi, this is Kerry Shamblin with the May 2024 Vedic Astrology forecast. Let's start out with a brief summary from each of the 9 planets. The Sun spends the first half of May in Aries, moving to Taurus on May 14th. Time to get going with new adventures, relationships, and projects. The Moon. Early May sees the sensitive waning moon becoming new in Aries on May 7th, encouraging us to be vulnerable, open, and brave. The full moon in Scorpio on May 23rd continues the suggestion as we face the changes. Mars spends May in Pisces with Rahu, bringing big waves that require precise navigation and course corrections, giving us practice managing power in unstable situations. Mercury. Recovering from retrograde, Mercury completes his work in Pisces and moves into Aries on May 10th for the remainder of May, with a mission to enhance efficiency and get projects off of the ground. Jupiter moves to Taurus on May 1st, which is a big deal. Get ready to move from the drawing board to the workshop, classroom, or fertile fields for the next growth phase. Venus is so close to the Sun during May that we won't see her during her backstage transition from morning star to evening star. Nonetheless, we create. Venus moves from Aries to Taurus on May 18th. Saturn continues to sit heavy in Aquarius through March of 2025, reminding us of our responsibility to build lasting structures, fully knowing that everything is temporary. Stay humble and keep it slow. Rahu continues to thrash about, keeping life exciting for the water signs, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Find physical and mental practices to counterbalance the chaos. K2 is the counterbalance this month, with all of the other planets grouped up in the signs opposite Virgo. Rather than being pulled into drama that you can't control, plant seeds that you can manage to nurture. For an in-depth analysis of specific planetary placements, please continue with the full planetary forecast. Jupiter changes signs to Taurus on May 1st. Jupiter's transit through each sign lasts for about 1 year, making the full tour of all 12 signs in 12 years. If things are happening right now that have a 12-year timeline, Jupiter could be involved. Jupiter's expansive and positive nature tends to buoy the sign that he transits, promoting growth, education, and abundance. In addition to the transit, we experience the energy of Jupiter through aspect to other signs. Because of Jupiter's trinal aspects, he influences all signs of the same element. From April 20th, 2023 through April 30th, 2024, Jupiter transited Aries, pushing his influence into all of the fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. During that entire transit, Jupiter and the sign of Aries were receiving an aspect from Saturn, which would minimize or slow down the initiations that Jupiter was attempting. Additionally, through November of 2023, Jupiter was sharing space with Rahu, which caused turmoil, lack of clarity, and unexpected changes. From May 1st, 2024 through May 14th of 2025, Jupiter will transit through Taurus, the earth sign ruled by Venus that exalts the moon. This puts Jupiter's expansive influence into all 3 earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. As with the other planets, Jupiter also aspects opposite his position, putting some positive spaciousness into the sign of Scorpio during this transit. The earth signs are naturally material, food, and wealth oriented. The year ahead is good for hands-on building, tangible results, executive action, and healthy growth. Jupiter is a helper, a teacher, a doctor, a guide, always looking for the positive way forward. Since November 20th, 2020, when Jupiter entered Capricorn, Jupiter has been heavily influenced and at times dominated by Saturn, which has put a damper on growth and progress in general. Either Saturn has conjoined Jupiter, Jupiter has been transiting Saturn's sign, or Saturn has been aspecting Jupiter since November of 2020. Starting in May of 2024, Jupiter will be free of aspect from both Saturn and Rahu until March 29th, 2025, when Saturn moves to Pisces. Note: the end of March 2025 looks quite interesting, as 6 planets join, including retrograde Mercury, retrograde Venus, Rahu, Saturn, Sun, and Moon on March 29th and 30th, 2025. From April 2025 through mid-May of 2025, Saturn from Pisces will aspect Jupiter as he prepares to move out of Taurus. So the tail end of Jupiter's transit through Taurus in May of 2025 may feel a bit sluggish, just as the beginning might here in May of 2024, as Jupiter comes out of a 4.5-year stint of being hobbled by Saturn. In general, Jupiter moving to Taurus could feel like doors opening, like seeds going into the ground, like moving into more fertile territory, like feeling a connection to the natural flow of life. There's a new moon in Aries, Bharani, on May 7th. The Sun and Moon join at 24 degrees Aries on May 7th, with Venus nearby, yielding a full moon in Bharani, where Venus rules and is strong. But we are talking about the exalted Sun and both feminine watery queens, Moon and Venus, in diminished power. With Jupiter newly moved on from Aries, we see the cleanup crew convening, led by the strong Sun and joined by the vulnerable new Moon and Venus. Bharani Nakshatra has symbols that promote fertility, strength, and regeneration. If healing is needed, this will be a good time to settle down, quiet the mind, and turn inward, letting the natural processes of healing do the work. With the concentration of planets in Pisces, the final sign of the zodiac, we are still feeling individually and collectively the desire to let go of what has passed, keeping the golden threads in hand to carry forward. With the new moon in Aries, plus Venus, we may also feel that we are in the midst of some kind of start, but actually it may feel like the start of phase 2 or similar. With Jupiter's year-long transit through Aries, we were in phase 1 of some type of growth cycle, as stunted or disrupted as it may have felt with the heavy influences from Saturn and Rahu. Akshaya Tritiya, May 9th and 10th. This is a heads up about an auspicious day to do almost any kind of important action. Each year in the spring, we have a day when both the Sun and Moon are exalted, with the Sun in Aries and the Moon in Taurus. This marks a year ahead, with each Moon in Taurus considered to be an excellent dignity. It will also be met with a Jupiter conjunction, yielding an auspicious combination known as Gajakeshari Yoga each month. Mercury transits Aries May 10th through the 31st. After gaining momentum post-retrograde cycle, Mercury is cruising. From May 10th through the 31st, Mercury will gallop across Aries, Mars's fire sign. From May 1st through the 10th, Mercury will swim toward shore, moving through the final degrees of Pisces after stationing direct at 22 degrees Pisces on April 25th, which also put him in conjunction with Rahu, a combination which could feel energizing as we finish out the last week of April. Mars joined Mercury and Rahu in Pisces on April 23rd, changing the mood in that final sign of the zodiac. Both Mars and Mercury are efficient and task-oriented. If emotions are making it hard to let go and move on, make a list of the pros and cons, evaluate the items, and attempt to introduce a little black and white thinking into decisions that are taking too long. When Mercury hits Aries during the last few weeks of May, he joins Venus for about a week before she moves on, leaving Mercury alone in Aries through the end of May. With Mercury, Mars, and Venus occupying Aries from May 10th through the 18th, we could have a chance for a bit of alchemy and passion. The last couple weeks of May see Mercury in a capable position to help us reorganize and refine our plans and strategies, which may have recently undergone some challenges. This is a choice time to launch into projects involving education, writing, health, and business. The Sun transits Taurus May 14th through June 14th. Similar to Jupiter, the exalted Sun in Aries from mid-April through mid-May feels the weight of Saturn's aspect in Aquarius. When the Sun moves out of Aries and into Taurus on May 14th, joining Jupiter, we may feel as if a big, warm ray of sunshine beams down on what we have worked so hard to grow and protect. A combination of flow and grow could replace oh no and so slow. The Sun will stay out of range of difficult, obstructive, or shadowy aspects until mid-July, when the Sun enters Cancer and into a series of aspects by Rahu and Saturn. So take advantage of the Sun going through Taurus and Gemini, relatively free of hard aspects, which could promote a variety of creative projects, relationship advances, and staying on track with what makes your heart sing. Venus transits Taurus from May 18th through June 12th. Venus, ruler of the water element, ruler of the signs Taurus and Libra, champion of social connection, expression of beauty, and physical vitality, will move through her own territory of Taurus from May 18th through June 12th, while at the same time completing her transformation from morning star appearance to evening star appearance. Another way of describing this backstage phase of Venus is to note that Venus will be approaching, conjoining, and passing the Sun, which puts Venus into a state of combustion starting in early May, when Sun and Venus are both still transiting through Aries. This is quite a hot seat for Venus and could feel in real time like there is a rash of selfishness infesting the planet, with no regard for the common good. Venus keeps pace with the Sun, entering Taurus just 4 days behind the Sun. By mid-May, with Sun's entrance to Taurus, Jupiter also becomes combust, only for a couple of weeks, as the Sun passes through at a much faster pace than Jupiter. By early June, the pairing of Sun and Venus move into the later degrees of Taurus, leaving Jupiter behind, and exactly conjoining at 21 degrees Taurus on June 4th. This day also sees a conjunction of Mercury and Jupiter at 9 degrees Taurus. Venus escapes combustion after moving into Cancer in early July. By June, we should be able to see Venus shining in the western sky after sunset. If we think of this as a transformational period for Venus from May through June, as Venus outpaces the Sun, pulling off a graceful costume change, we could translate that into our personal experience by doing a deep dive into what makes relationships thrive. One doesn't need to be actively participating in relationship to reflect on what has worked and what hasn't worked in the past. For our individuality to thrive, we need to nurture those activities that serve to define us. Going too far in that direction can lead to alienating others, just as going too far in the direction of compromising individual needs can lead to exhaustion. Venus in Taurus from May 18th through June 12th supports creating new channels for self-expression and self-care, while at the same time finding ample space for friendships, family time, collaboration, and getting down to business. Mars conjunct Rahu on May 19th. After Mercury's departure to Aries on May 10th, we find Mars and Rahu alone in Pisces. Gone are the party vibes after the frenzy with Mercury, Venus, and Rahu in April. We're serious here. It's time to push through the hard stuff, cut the ties that bind, and bravely sally forth on the train that's already leaving the station. Mars entered Pisces on April 23rd and will transit past Rahu in the vast ocean, moving into his own sign of Aries on June 1st. Because of Mars's power potential, Mars conjoining either of the nodes, Rahu or Ketu, can cause explosive energy. With Mars and Rahu in a water sign, we have another element added into the equation. While it is tempting to avoid all situations that could add up to unwanted explosions that combine fire and water, these things can't always be avoided. Jupiter's energy in the stable sign of Taurus may actually counterbalance to some extent, as Jupiter is the planetary ruler of Pisces, where Mars and Rahu are transiting. Another way to handle this news would be to strategically manage it, or at least try. The domain of life represented by Pisces in the personal horoscope could feel quite a boost from the right use of Mars's planned trajectory through Rahu's mysterious shadows. Look at the few days on either side of May 19th to be an intensification of this energy. Venus conjunct Jupiter, May 23rd. We have a couple of conjunctions during the days between May 19th and the 23rd. Rahu plus Mars on May 19th, followed by Venus plus Jupiter at 5 degrees Taurus on May 23rd. Venus and Jupiter will be nearly completely combust during this conjunction, perhaps inviting events that carry themes of deep negotiations involving relationships or creative process. Another way of viewing the pairing of Venus and Jupiter is to recognize the combination known as Dvi-Guru Yoga, the joining of the two teachers. Guru is a common name for Jupiter, who carries the archetype of the teacher, guiding us through the natural side of life, how we care for the earth, grow our food, and nurture our children, dispelling ignorance by sharing knowledge. Jupiter is known as the teacher of the Devas, divine beings of light. Venus is also a guru, but the teacher of social law, where we study human behavior, social responsibility, contracts like marriage, and human interaction with the natural world, often expressed as art or creativity. Shukracharya, aka Venus, is the teacher of the Asuras, divine beings of shadow. Despite the brilliant sun blazing away our views of Venus and Jupiter, this is a big energy having to do with education, life lessons, personal growth, and establishing healthy, sustainable patterns going forward. Full moon in Scorpio, Anuradha, May 23rd. The sun and moon line up in opposite signs for the full moon at 9 degrees Scorpio, with the sun at 9 degrees Taurus on Thursday, May 23rd. The moon is energetic and sensitive when full, causing emotions and mental activity to surge and swell. The nakshatra holding the moon will be Anuradha, ruled by Mitra, lord of binding contracts, and also ruled by the planet Saturn, a firm supporter of personal responsibility, which binding contracts enforce. Opposite in Venus's Earth sign, Taurus, will be Sun, Venus, and Jupiter, all within the nakshatra of Kritika, ruled by Saturn's classic opponent, the Sun. The dynamic between the opposite signs of Taurus and Scorpio is colored by the rulers. Feminine, watery Venus, champion of collective welfare, rules Taurus, and masculine, fiery Mars, protector of personal safety and resources, rules Scorpio. This is an exploration of dramatic, passionate relationship between entities with drastically different agendas. Layer on top of this the finer details of the opposition between the expression of individual ego with the Sun in Kritika Nakshatra, ruled by the Sun, and with the Moon in Anuradha Nakshatra, ruled by Saturn. When it comes to individual expression in the context of social contract, we are all tasked with learning to balance and to constantly refine our approach to both standing out and blending together. Flip it over to see that on the Sun side, we have a deep study of the Sun and Venus theme, pointing us toward examining the balance between self and others. On the Moon side, we have a Saturn and Mars theme, collective versus individual, evoking vulnerability, feelings of safety, need for exercising control, and establishing boundaries. This full moon brings our attention to the sign of Scorpio. While there are no major transits aside from the moon's visit each month, until April 2025, the challenging compound aspect of Rahu from Pisces and Saturn from Taurus are blowing into the crucible of Scorpio. This brings a strong wind with wide currents of transformation and detachment. Meet this energy with a stoic determination designed to carry you forward on the winds of change. With Jupiter entering Taurus on May 1st for the next year, Scorpio will benefit from the aspect, perhaps helping to stabilize and balance the chaotic aspect of Rahu and the pressurized influence of Saturn also coming into Scorpio. June 2024 headlines. Mercury transits Taurus from May 31st through June 14th. Mars transits Aries from June 1st through July 12th. There's a new moon in Taurus, Rohini, on June 6th. Venus transits Gemini from June 12th through July 6th. Mercury transits Gemini from June 14th through the 29th. The Sun transits Gemini from June 14th through July 15th. The full moon in Sagittarius, Mula, occurs on June 21st. Mercury enters Cancer on June 29th. And Saturn retrograde begins in Aquarius on June 29th and goes through November 15th. Thank you for listening. Happy spring.